All right. We are back. We took a little bit of break there after our last episode. Despite COVID, despite some heavy modifications to our summer programming, we actually have remained pretty busy. And so that's why we haven't had a chance to get back to this. In addition, this is actually a re-record of a previous podcast episode. For whatever reason, I deleted it, misplaced it, wherever. But this is a chance to get caught up with our 4 scholarship winners: Kristen, KG, Chris, and Dom. They're all getting ready for fall semester in some format, some aspect. And so it was a great chance to reconnect with them as they prepare for school. So yeah, this is a good chance to reset our podcast and get some new episodes out there. So hope you enjoy, and it's good to be back. Hold on a second. Okay, yeah, let's get started. So first of all, I apologize. I had this originally recorded with 4y'all minus KG, and then I can't find it. I don't think I would have deleted it on purpose, so it might have gotten lost in like the hundreds of Zoom meeting recordings that I have. And so it was an accident. But this is cool too, because we've got KG on, who was the 4th, who we were missing last time. But also I think it'll be interesting to have a different perspective now that we're, 2 or 3 months out from the original one. And then you guys have your checks. We, all kind of met and touch based about a month ago in person. So let's do this. I'll try not to do a lot of repeat questions, but there are some things I want to get out. First one, KG and Chris and Dom, you're the 3 staying virtual. So when did that decision come down to you guys?
Well, for me, I found out July 7th. That's when they released the statement. They just said we was doing everything online because of COVID.
Were you what was your reaction then? Did you kind of see it coming?
Yeah, I seen it coming because, and especially around that time, that's when cases had just went back up. And so I was like, if they ain't opening, they're talking about, closing back down the state, then I was like, man, schools shouldn't, why would schools be open,
Yeah. Chris, what about you? Did you see it coming? Because a lot of Cali schools are closed.
Yeah. I was already expecting it, but what surprised me was that some other schools, like the bigger ones, like UT and A&M didn't close. And I thought since they were bigger, that they would also close. But I saw in California is a lot more. They're on top of other things a lot more than Texas is.
Yeah. How big is Claremont? How many kids is it?
I think it's 6,000 just for that school, but then it's the other 5 schools, and we intermingle between the 5 schools. So I think it's probably around 30,000.
Oh, that's right. I'll ask you about that later on, because Claremont's kind of a unique situation. Dom, what about you? What was that decision? When did you get that decision, and kind of what was your reaction?
I honestly don't know. I just remember looking on the website and then seeing that it was going to be virtual, and I was really happy about that. So.
Oh, you were excited about that?
Yeah, when my school made us do virtual learning, I discovered a new side of education, I guess, and it allowed me to learn on my own kind of and do independent learning, and I absolutely love that.
Oh, that's cool. Well, good for you. And then Chris, you're the one who's packing and moving to a dorm. How do you feel about all that?
I am nervous I don't know how things are going to work when I get on campus, but I'm excited that I still get to go.
Yeah, it's a fun experience doing, obviously being on the campus, especially your freshman year. What do you think it'd be like had UNT gone virtual?
Very different.
Would you be as excited, or just kind of roll with it?
I think I would just deal with it. I don't know that I'd be as excited. Because I was disappointed when school ended in the spring and we had to do virtual, because I preferred going to school. So I don't think I would be as excited, but I would still be excited because it'd be something different. I think it's better to meet people for me, in person, and that's how I can communicate with people better, in person. So I feel
for sure
it would have been harder for me that way.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back in time a little bit. So we did Detweiler Family Scholarship, started last year. It basically exploded. We had a bunch of supporters come out. We were able to give out a lot more money to more of you all, and you 4 are obviously the 4 winners. One of you, and someone can jump in, this is open to anyone, but what's been the process since last year, whenever you started finding money for college? Like how difficult or how easy? What were some of the challenges or obstacles that you guys faced just learning how to pay for school and then actually paying for it?
I think for me, something that I realized was like filling out the FAFSA. Like that was very like intimidating for me because I was like, I don't like know how much my family makes because we don't really like talk about it a lot. So when we finally did like fill it out and I got my EFC back, which is my expected family contribution, it was a lot higher than I was expecting. Like I thought I was gonna get a lot more like money because I thought I was gonna get a lot more money from my school or the schools that I did apply to. But because my EFC was so high, my parents make enough that the schools think that I can pay for more than what I can.
Mm-hmm.
That like really scared me. Like when I started like trying to look for scholarships, I got like nervous. Like I was very intimidated. I was like, I need so much money that I don't have, and they think I can just like they think I just have this lying around.
I feel like that's probably pretty common for most people, as they expect to get more support than they actually do. Dom, did you have kind of that same experience when you filled out FAFSA?
Kind of. When I first filled out the FAFSA, my EFC was not too high, but then I had to make a lot of corrections to it because the 1 year that they're asking for, my parents filed their taxes a little funny, so we had to continue to make corrections. And then when I finally found or got my official EFC, it was so low, and I was honestly like super surprised at that. I was like, wow. So I mean, that kind of influenced my decision on where I was going to go to school.
How has it been for you in just finding scholarships to kind of, fill in the gap or, get to the amount that you need?
I applied for scholarships in like March and February and stuff. That was like kind of the 2 months that I really focused on that. But like, I kind of knew where I was going to, or I possibly knew where I was going to school at that time. But honestly, I didn't even need to do that because my FAFSA, the money I have, pays for all of my books and my tuition going to my school now.
Nice.
So I'm really blessed in that regard.
Yeah. So you were kind of squared away pretty early on then.
Yeah.
That's awesome. KG, what about you, man? You decided on Hampton, what, like late January? When did you start kind of like looking through the financials of Hampton?
Yeah, late January, early February. I was talking to DeVoe at the time, just about me coming to the school. When me playing a sport, that was kind of my first way of getting the money, that I needed, to pay for college.
Mm-hmm.
Then I applied for like one other scholarship, and then the Detweiler, I applied for that one. And those are only two. I didn't really apply because like once I found out how much I was getting and, everything, I was really like kind of squared away, with myself.
That's good.
Like with me working and then, with some money coming in, so I was straight.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that actually, because I've run across, I feel like sometimes more often than not, it can be kind of a struggle finding the money. And you kind of, you're picking up a job or you have to make some kind of last second adjustments. Chris, what about you? I know that you've gotten a handful. What was that process? What's that process been like for you?
So I did Questbridge when I was applying. So that's because my EFC was like nothing. So even though even with Questbridge, I still had an amount left. I mean, I didn't get matched for Questbridge, but I still got into my school's 100% need met. So that really took away a bulk, like what I call like 90% of the debt that the cost it would have been. But then I know that when I saw the like all the financial aid they gave me and how they compared to like how much they charged, I still saw that I had a big gap. So then I was in this program that was about engineering, and I know that they had always giving away scholarships. And then one of my mentors was like, "Oh, you should apply for it since you already been here for like a while." So then I did that, and I didn't really expect to get much from it. But then that was when like I was surprised because they had given it to me, and they had also raised the price. I mean the amount of the award. And then but then even after that, which was it took a huge chunk out of what I had left, but I still had like a good amount left. Not only, and then that's what I did from the school and like room and board and stuff like that. But then I also had to remember that I had to pay like I put like away like 1,000 just to be safe for travel fees and stuff like that.
When you guys were doing all the research on like on school paying for it, obviously tuition is the big kind of number that everyone looks at, and then you have room and board. Were you all surprised at how many things you really had to be prepared for financially? Like maybe how complicated FAFSA was, how little the schools were going to give you, seeing the numbers outside of just tuition and room and board. Did that kind of catch you guys off guard a little bit? Just kind of doing the math?
I think when I first started going to college, I just thought, like, it didn't click that I was going to have to be getting, like, my own food. And if I wanted to do anything fun, like, that's extra money that I'm going to have to need. Or just transportation, like, from, like, taking the bus or something. Like, things like that I didn't think about. I just was only focused on tuition costs, and because I wanted to live on campus, room and board. Like, that's all I wanted. Like, that's all I thought I needed to pay for. And then like once I finally got like my aid back and I started having conversations with my parents, it was like, well, what if your friends want to go out and you don't have money? Like, what are you going to do? Or like, what if you decide you want to buy something and like you don't have money for it? Or what if you need to take the bus to like your job? Because I'm going to have to get a job. They were like, how are you going to get around? So like once I had like that conversation with them, it was like, oh yeah, like I'm going to be paying for things by myself now. And that was kind of scary, but it's like, okay, well, now I have to make a plan. Like, now I need to figure out how I'm going to make this work because I really want to do it.
KG, did you kind of have that same process when you were doing the math? Because it sounds like you were pretty well taken care of early on, but were there other things that kind of came up that you were like, oh, I need money for that?
I'll say the travel part, that, getting all the stuff there to a whole different state. And it's not close, it's a distance away. So
yeah, because you have to fly into what, like DC or Baltimore, I guess?
Yeah, something like that. But I might not even fly. I might drive. So it depends.
Yeah, I gotcha. Dom, for you, because because you went virtual kind of early on, you were always planning on living at home then after you made your decision, right?
Yeah.
Was that a huge relief of just like, okay, I don't have to worry about room and board because I'm going to stay home. I can save a bunch of money. Like, was that a big relief, or would you rather be maybe on a campus to some degree, or like out of the house a little bit?
Originally, I was like set on going to like live on campus or like go to like a 4-year university. But then after I decided to go to a community college, and my mom was like, you don't have to move out. You don't have to do anything. Like, it's all taken care of. Why are you worried about that? It was like a big relief kind of, because like now I get to like stay home with my sisters and like help them with their schoolwork and like help my mom and stuff. So it was like, it was fun. Like, we're a close family. So like with like me leaving, it would have just like probably would have broken up the house. I'm kind of like the glue that keeps the family together.
Get to be around the new baby.
Yeah, like we were talking the other day, me and my mom or whatever, and I was like, she was asking me, where are you going to go to school after you're done with your basics or whatever? And I was like, I don't know, probably like Texas A&M or like UNT or something. She's like, no, go to UT Arlington. And I was like, why? She's like, because you can just stay at home and you could be with the baby. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. And I was like, are you going to miss me? She's like, yes, I'm going to miss you. You can't leave me.
That's really sweet. I mean, I think that's good that you had those options, and one of them is, to really set yourself up and have like a really strong foundation financially. Because I think that's a tough decision for a lot of people, kind of when they weigh all those options. So, and yes, I can totally see how you're the glue of your family.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little specifically about the scholarship. So was there ever any doubt that you guys wouldn't apply for it? Did it seem just like, oh, this is like a really easy thing to have access to? Or, were you like, or was it not high on your radar, the Bird Scholarship?
As soon as I found out that you guys did it last year, I was like, oh yeah, like you better be doing this next year because I need money. I know money. And then I remember like me and Maya had been like talking about it. Like, I wonder when he's gonna like tell us it's open because no one said anything. Like,
Right.
I don't want to like beg David for money, so I'm just gonna wait because like it'll be soon because he said it was gonna happen. It'll be soon. And like as soon as you sent us the email, like we both texted each other. Have you seen it? Have you started filling up? Filled it out? Have you read all the questions? So no, I was already thinking about it as soon as you said you did it last year.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And the reason I ask that is because, you know, not everyone takes advantage of all the things that just totally fine. And you know, as it turns out, some of you all were pretty well off or pretty well taken care of. For example, a couple of the seniors basically had a full already, and so it was maybe high in need. And it's not a ton of money either. You know, I think in the larger scheme of college financials, it's a very small amount. But I'm glad it was something that you guys were pursuing. Chris, what about you? You were going after some big scholarships. Where did the Detweiler, the bridge one, kind of fall into your list of priorities?
Well, for like prioritization for scholarships, I always put the scholarships that were in organizations that I was in at the very top because I knew that those will always give me the best chance rather than but there's some other scholarships that I went for. They were big, but those didn't really have a good return. I think that one scholarship I got, that was like that was because I was already in the organization and it was a lot easier to get it, and because a lot of the seniors that were in that organization didn't really apply because they didn't feel like going through because there was like 4 essays and they didn't really want to do all that.
Oh, really? Yeah. Do you all think that? Also this to Dom and KG. Do you all think that our scholarship, the process was pretty easy?
Yeah, it was pretty easy in comparison to like other scholarship applications.
Was it the right amount of work for the amount of money then? Like, did it feel like it was a proportionate amount of work on your part for the amount of money that you all received?
I would say, yeah. Like, honestly, I felt like maybe we could have you guys could have asked us more, had us do more essays or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It just kind of felt like it was like,
was it? Wait, it wasn't too easy, right?
No, it wasn't too
harder on the
easy.
21s.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to you guys. You've already filled it out. That's interesting. KG, what about you? Did you feel like it was in terms of the amount of effort to get the scholarship, the interviews included, it was worthwhile?
Yeah, I feel like it was worthwhile. It wasn't too difficult. You know, it wasn't like 1,000 word essay, you know. So I think it was to the point. You got the information like you needed to decipher. You got to know the like us. You know, I think it was good.
Good. Let's talk about the interviews. How nervous were you guys? Because we wanted to do in person, obviously, but we had to do the Zoom style.
I was so nervous. The entire time. And I remember I was so nervous the whole time. The whole time before, I was just messaging Maya back and forth, I'm freaking out, I'm sweating. I was like, what if my computer just decides to stop working? I was just preparing for the worst. And then we finally got on the call and I was like, okay, we got on the call. That's an accomplishment. We're at least they know I'm here. If something happened, they know I tried. But once we started answering the questions, I think it's easier for me to talk about bridge than so once we got through that part, I was like, okay, I kind of know what I'm talking about here. I felt more comfortable.
Had you done a scholarship interview prior to that?
No, this is gonna sound really I'm very privileged here. I have never done an interview before. Every time I've gotten a job, someone's kind of just I've known them, so they've kind of just given it to me. So this is my first interview ever.
That's funny. That's good.
Yeah.
What about the rest of y'all? How'd y'all feel going into the interviews?
I feel like the Zoom call I was so nervous for it, of course, but I think that because it's in my own home, I was a lot more comfortable with doing the interview because it wasn't somewhere I was where I didn't know it at all, and I could, I had more time to prepare too, and I didn't have to drive, and it just felt a lot more at home with the interview, and I felt a lot more laid back instead of being uptight and speaking like a robot or trying to tell them what they want to hear instead of I was just telling them what I would actually say instead of telling them what they want to hear.
That's good to know. I wondered about that because I know the in-persons last year, you could just tell, people were nervous. And so it was always harder for me to determine if this was an easier process for you guys versus in person. And we obviously would have preferred to do in person. It's just a different way to connect with people. But I'm glad to know that. I'm glad that the Zoom calls didn't put more pressure on you all. Dom, what about you? How was it for you? I feel like you got a little nervous.
I was extremely nervous. Like for like the whole hour before my interview, I was like rehearsing in my dad's office. I was like looking up scholarship interview questions. I was like, okay, what am I going to say if they ask me this? What am I going to say if they ask me that? And then I was worried that my sisters and my dogs were going to be so loud because like my house is really, really loud. And I was like,
Yes,
oh
it
my
is.
gosh, what if my internet crashes? What if my dogs are barking and they won't be quiet? It was a lot. But then once like the interview started, I guess like I kind of put on like my like not nervous face, although I was like fidgeting in my mom's chair. I was like, oh my gosh, am I actually doing okay? Or do they like me? Like what like I didn't know what I was doing, you know?
KG, what about you?
For the most part, I wasn't really nervous.
KG doesn't get nervous.
Yeah, like, I feel like I'm a good people person. So I just, my whole thing was I made the list of points of like what I wanted to convey, and then I remembered them once we started the Zoom meeting, and you know I just spoke from the heart, I guess. But
Yeah.
I like that I got to meet some of the people who contribute to Bridge. You know, they can have a little insight on me, and I can have a little insight on them, you know, as we all are part of the same organization. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's one thing about having our board members as part of the selection committee. And then obviously Jason's mother, Sheila, be a part of the process, is because that's a connection that doesn't happen a lot. Like you all don't get a lot of access to the board and the people who, you know, like essentially my bosses, right? There's not a lot of access points to them and vice versa. So this is a good way for them to kind of get to know you all. And they, you know, they all love each of you. I mean, they were all like so pumped after getting a chance to talk with you all for, you know, however long each interview was, 45 minutes, an hour. I think that's an important piece of this organization is like making sure there's a lot of overlap between categories of family members. So let me ask you, let's move on. What are y'all going to do with all that money?
I already spent mine. I bought this really cool laptop. The one I'm on right now.
Oh, did you really? You got a new laptop?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's like great. I'm really happy I was able to get this because I know if I would have used my own money, I would have gotten like some $500 like, you know, Chromebook or something.
Yeah. Did it come with those sweet like gaming headphones?
No. No, but it's carbon fiber. That's my most favorite part.
That's awesome. What about the rest of y'all?
I still got it.
You still got it? You haven't cashed it yet?
I mean I cashed it.
Or I mean, yeah, deposit or whatever.
Yeah, it's right there. It's not being used yet.
Yeah, you'll have a use for it later on.
I have not even cashed it yet. It is still in the envelope. The envelope has not been opened.
Oh wow.
Like, I feel like if I see that money in my account, I might get a little too excited with how much is in there.
Right.
So, I'm gonna wait.
Okay, don't lose it though.
Oh no, it is in a safe place.
Okay.
I don't want you to come take it back. But
I would really prefer that you have deposited that already and not just like leave it in an envelope.
it's a safe place, David. I promise.
Okay, that's good.
But it will be contributing to my room and board.
Good. Dom, what about you?
I just spent like 200 of it. It's helping me pay for my classes until like my financial aid stuff is processed. And let me tell you, when I took it out and I paid for those like my first down payment, my heart hurt. Like I felt like that was like the first time I felt like financial pain because it was like my money that I had to pay for stuff. And I'm used to using my parents' money so it doesn't hurt me. And I almost started crying. My mom was like, she came and checked on me. She's like, you okay? I was like, no, I can't do this again.
Oh, Dom, That's a big part of adulthood, is spending large amounts of money that you don't want to spend.
I'm not ready for that at all.
It's a big step in adulthood.
Mm-mm, I don't want
Yeah.
that.
How many of you, and I'm just curious, how many of you all, between Dom, Chris, and KG, how many of you guys have your tuition a lower amount because you're online or virtual?
Mine did. They actually lowered it.
Oh, they
Probably
did?
like
Good.
2,000. Yeah, I think it was. I think it's only like, yeah, they lowered it 2,000.
Yeah. Does that, and because the three of you all are obviously not on campus, does that help you all? Are you guys better off now for like the long term, or, you know, it's not that big a deal? Like,
Yeah,
are you saving a bunch more money, I guess is my question.
For me, I'm saving a lot of more money, because, you know, I was gonna be living on campus, and to go there, you have to live on campus, and so that room and board, that was a big part of it. So I'm saving money.
Good. Chris, what about you?
So they didn't lower it, but at the beginning of the summer they gave us they gave everyone like 3,000 financial aid, which I guess is for like summer savings for like if most of the students had jobs over the summers, but because they predicted that most of the students wouldn't be able to work, so they gave us like financial aid on top. But yeah, I think actually I don't think it's not really affecting me as much as other students, because I wasn't really going to pay that much for room and board.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still saving some money because I wouldn't have to like buy the plane tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you have money coming in from other places, it may not matter to you if you're on campus or off campus. So, you know, the purpose of the scholarship was that it's to help, you know, bridge seniors with like some of the smaller things. Because I think what happens is you get, and it's in a lot of ways, especially for like first gen kids, it's kind of death by paper cuts. And so you have like these little things that kind of accumulate over time that are just kind of really inconvenient, and then just kind of build and build and build. How much of this money do you think kind of alleviates some of that either the stress or anxiety of just like paying for little things?
I think all of it is like a huge deal for me, because I was, like I told you, like I knew that my parents made a good amount of money, but I didn't realize how much until I got my EFC back, and that scared me so much, because I was like, I don't have this much money anywhere, so I don't know how they got that. So knowing that even if it was just going to only be able to buy me like small things, it was like, that's one less thing I have to worry about. It helps.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. It was hard to determine how much this year. Like, should we have done, you know, because it was 4 scholarships. Should we have done like just one big one, right? Or should we have, you know, just pick 2 candidates, 1 Eagle, 1 Panther? So that was a hard thing for us to decide on. I think knowing that even, you know, sort of the every little bit helps, you know, mentality. I'm glad we had 4 of you all versus just maybe 2 of you all, even if it would have been maybe more money. Did you all think after the interviews that you nailed it and like you were definitely going to get the money? Because it basically came down to 50-50, right? Like 4 people got the scholarship and 4 people didn't. When you guys left the interviews, were like, oh, I nailed it, I'm definitely getting the money.
I feel like, yeah, like I did the probability in my head. I was like, I felt good.
No, that's good. That's important. That's important to be confident. What about the rest of y'all?
For me, I felt good at the beginning, but then like I was like, I feel like I can talk to people pretty well. I can talk about bridge like any day for ever how long. But like as the interview went on, like I remember I was like nervous, and like at some point in my interview I started crying. So like at the end I was like, oh my God, like I blew it. Like that was so embarrassing. Like I was like, they're gonna pick someone else because I cried. So at the end I was like, I don't know. Like if I don't get it, I'll be sad, but I won't be surprised.
Dom, you were shaking your head. What about you?
I did not think I was going to get the scholarship money at all. Like when you called me, I was literally in my dad's office with my sister, or with my sisters, and my mom is in her office. And I was like, okay, guys, if you see me crying, just know they're sad tears. They're not happy tears, okay?
Aw.
And then when you told me that, like, I had got the scholarship, I was like, I was literally stunned. Like, I was like, I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe. I was like, no, you're joking. Like, he's going to tell me, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
that'd be so harsh though.
I was so worried. Like, after the interview, I was like trying to put it out of my mind. I was like, okay, whenever it's announced, we're going to be happy for the others who got it. You know, we're going to be a good team player. And then when I heard I got it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't breathe. Like, because like I never think like I'm going to like win anything. Like I never think that like I'm good enough for that. And then like that's winning it was like such like a confidence boost for me. I was like, oh my gosh, people actually like listen to me. They actually like me, you know?
No, that makes sense. It was, you know, it's not an easy process. And we obviously talked about this when we saw you guys in person. It's not an easy decision to pick, you know, everyone is obviously deserving of support and everyone's deserving of resources for school and higher education. So I'm glad you all got it and can do a lot with it. Chris, what about you? How did you feel after the interview?
When I went to the interview, I was like, I'm pretty prepared. But then throughout the interview, I kept on making small mistakes, and I'm not sure if the interviews picked it up, but I knew I definitely picked it up. So I just started clenching my teeth and I started like getting more nervous and making more mistakes. So as soon as I got off, I was like, I just started like running around the house. Like I was not running. I was just like, like I was like really relieved, and I was just like,
just to be kind of done with it.
Yeah, I was just relieved that it was over and that I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But I was just not worried if how I did was good enough to let them choose me over someone else, because I knew like the applicant pool was really strong. So I was like, I don't know if like I'm pretty sure that little mistake would probably put me below like number 5 or something, or like like that small thing maybe didn't help me back from getting to the spot that.
Yeah, I see. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's not an easy process. I will say this, as having sat in on all y'all's interviews, is that, you know, like there's not really, at least for me as someone who was in the meeting and how I would maybe judge or go through the criteria, is like, it wasn't really about making mistakes. It's just like finding authenticity, you know? So it's like, if you had maybe not articulated an answer like super well or something like that doesn't really, I don't think that affected how we got or how the committee got to their final 4, right? It was just looking for really authentic and genuine people. And, you know, the questions were kind of all over the place too, right? So it wasn't like a trivia, or it wasn't like a quiz. It was, let's just throw out some prompts and get a sense of who this person is. Were there some prompts that threw you guys off? And I know that was a while ago, so I don't know if you remember any of them.
If you remind us.
Not all. No, I don't. Honestly, not all of them. I mean, there was one. I know Sean, one of our board members, his question was like, who would you want to have like hang out with for a day?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and I remember. Kristen, do you remember your answer?
Yes.
Do you want to share with it? You don't have to if you don't want to. I don't want to put you on the spot.
You already did it. This is the second time I'm doing it, so it's fine. They already know. All the people you already know. He asked me who I would want to meet with, dead or alive, and I said I asked if it had to be a person, and he said, no, like, now I'm interested in what you're going to say. Like, no, go ahead. A dinosaur. Because I went through this phase when I was little, like, I was obsessed with dinosaurs, and like, even now, so at the Pro Museum, when it first opened, they had this huge dinosaur, and it looks like a Bronchiosaurus, but it's not. It's an Alamosaurus. But it was like, I was so amazed because I'm kind of short. So like seeing this, I was like, oh my God. And like, I kind of like got this like small obsession with dinosaurs. So when he said that, I was like, wouldn't that be so cool? And I was like, I think it's kind of funny. I think it might make them laugh. I was like, if nothing, like, it'll make them laugh if they're not impressed. So,
I thought it was a great answer. I thought it was super creative. And then Dom, do you remember your answer?
Yeah, mine was Kurt Cobain.
And a lot like Kristen, like that kind of threw us all off because you're not really of that generation.
I love the 90s and stuff. I love Nirvana. I listen to them pretty religiously. I don't listen to them on my TV anymore because my parents, they look at me crazy, but I got my sisters into them. So I'm proud of myself for that.
No, that's awesome. I think those are great answers. And again, there's not a right or wrong. It's just like, let's know this person. I'm trying to think of what other questions that were thrown out there. You know, some were maybe more traditional, maybe predictable even, of just like, what have you gotten out of their experience at Bridge? You know, who are people that you look up to? You know, those are obviously really important questions in determining, you know, just trying to get a better sense of what the experience has been like, because obviously the money is coming from Bridge. And so it's obviously important for us to get an understanding of like how valuable being in this organization has been. Anything else from the interview stand out for you guys?
I think something for me was like whenever they asked about like my experiences, like my first thing was to like talk about like the other people in Bridge. And so I was like, that's easy. Like I could talk about like my teammates or my coaches or like anyone that I had met within Bridge, like I had some form of relationship with. So it was easy to talk about other people. So then when they asked me like, oh, like basically talk good about yourself now, like say something like self-advocate, I think that question was like, well, I mean, I don't know, like I kind of just show up. Like that's just like I'm just kind of there. So it was like admit like I kind of contribute too sometimes.
And I think that might have been Sheila's question. It was kind of like, you're deserving of this, right? And you kind of do have to brag on yourself, go through your resume and accomplishments. And yeah, sometimes that's awkward, unless you're KG, who's like got a big smile on his face right now.
Nah, I feel like that was hard for me too, because
Okay, my fault.
I ain't necessarily want to talk about myself or make it seem like, you know.
No, I get it. You're a pretty humble dude. But what was that? So what was that difficult about that question then?
For me,
yeah,
because you know I always think, you know, in my mind I'd be like, it could be worse. So, you know, I just be thinking maybe, you know, there's somebody out there who may deserve it more, or, you know.
Yeah,
So
I think that's
that was kind of the difficulty in answering the question.
I think it was
yeah.
another like hard part, because like there's the 2020 class is so small, all of us know each other. So it's like I know who my competition was, and it's like I don't think I necessarily deserve it more than them. I was like, I know them and they're hardworking, or like they're better at lacrosse than me. Maybe like I was like, so it's like you kind of compare yourself to the other like people competing with scholarships. Like we all know each other.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about just this is in a lot of ways, this is a competition and you're competing with your teammates. Chris, what do you think? Did you get that? Is that how you felt about the process? Is like, I'm competing against guys I've known for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel like, because if I don't get in that mentality, I'll just think if it's like something like not as serious, and then I won't, you know, push myself or like try to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to get it. Because I think that when I'm like within this competition, I'm just competitive.
Yeah.
And that I just it wasn't really a good way to think of it, because then it also like I'm also putting my teammates as like a competition like, oh, we're competing over, like fighting almost over money.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's if you don't have if you don't know who you're going up against, then you don't really kind of like putting yourself at disadvantage, kind of like with like we play lacrosse.
I mean, there is some of that, like you guys are all on the team, but at the end of the day, like one of you wants the ball to score like the game winner, or one of you the starting job over your teammates. So, you know, there's always like competition built in somewhat internally into a team. Dom, what do you think about that? There's an interesting conversation in here. Topic.
I don't know. Like, it felt weird, because it's like everybody else is saying, basically, you're so used to like competing with these people, and then you sort of look at it as a competition. It's like, oh, now I have to compete against them. And when I was applying, because I don't really know the guys that well, I was looking at my senior females with me, and I was like, all 3 of them, they're all so beautiful and they all deserve this scholarship. And I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this, because I'm so used to working with them and, you know, them helping me better myself. And I'm like, how am I supposed to like do that? You know, like how am I supposed to like ask for this? and then take it away from them. Kind of like, if I get the scholarship, I'm taking something away from somebody else, which I absolutely hate doing that.
That's a great insight. And that's going to be tough. I don't know how to address that in the future because obviously there's limited resources, which is unfortunate. There has to be a way to prioritize is maybe not the right word, but there has to be a selection process at the end of the day. So yeah, the whole process is very strange, and hopefully maybe we'll continue to polish it, and the awards will get bigger and more kids or whatever. But I think we got 4 people who absolutely deserved it, and Chris has obviously made use of it already with a brand new sweet laptop.
It's really nice. I love it.
Do you mind if I ask what kind of laptop it is?
It's a Dell XPS 13. It has 4K screen, solid state drive, 16 gigs of RAM. It has half a terabyte of storage. It's great.
It's just a baller laptop.
Yeah, it's an ultrabook.
I just think everyone needs to know how big Chris's smile is when he's talking about his laptop.
I'm glad. I'm gonna make sure that the committee members hear this, because I think it's also important. Everyone understands how important this is, and I think what a unique opportunity it is to help you all with certain things. It's the DNA of our organization, and this is just kind of a new outlet for us. So to Kristen's point, Chris seems very thrilled with it. What advice would you have for the future candidates? For the class of 2021, when they're applying for this scholarship, so specifically the scholarship, but then also just advice for them as they transition to college, as they transition to filling out FAFSA and applying for schools. What advice do you have for the 21s?
Get on early.
Sorry, go ahead.
KG, go ahead.
Just tell them to get on it early. That's where I feel like I failed at. I waited a little too late to start applying to colleges, to scholarships. So I definitely feel like I missed out on a couple opportunities, but other than that, if you're on it early, you can make sure you square it away and have everything set.
Makes sense. Kristen?
I think for filling out, at least specifically for the Detweiler Scholarship, don't overthink it. You are part of Bridge. The questions, I think for me, part of it was really hard. I was I need to make sure that this answer feels like me, everyone in Bridge, these people know me, they know me better than anyone. So I was they need to make sure this is coming across as me. So I overthought it a lot. I didn't submit it until the day it was due.
Oh, I know. I was bugging you to make sure you got it done.
I was nervous about that. So I think just don't overthink it. Bridge. You are Bridge. I think your point will come across. You'll figure it out. And if you don't, you have the interview to fix it.
That's good advice. Chris, Dom?
I think for my advice is when you're choosing or we're trying to think of what you want to do, don't be scared if you don't know what you want to do, because there's a lot, because I've realized that a lot of the people that I'm going to school with don't even know what they want to do, and they're going to a school where they'll definitely be in debt if they spend an extra year, and you can't really make that risk. For them, they can't really make the risk, but don't think you're the only, you're falling behind because you don't know what you want to do, because that's basically the point of it, is to at least for us, take a bunch of classes and see which ones are the most interesting and fitting for you, and then after the third semester, then that's when you choose what you actually want to do, because they don't want you to be in a place where you're going to hate it and then end up falling behind because you chose the wrong major. So take your time with choosing your major.
Yeah, that's really good. Kristen, that applies to you, right? You've got time. You don't have to pick a major tomorrow.
For me, I would say for the scholarship portion of it is just don't be afraid to be yourself and let your personality shine through. Yes, these are people that you know and that you've seen, but you know, they only know like a side of you. They don't really know like the full you. So don't be afraid to let your whole personality shine through. And then just in general, don't be afraid to like ask for advice and like actually take it. And don't worry about fitting in. It's not as important as you think it is. Like fitting in high school and stuff, especially when applying to colleges and stuff, picking where you're going to go to school. You know, this is your future that you're talking about, and you know, this is the future's in your hands. So don't be afraid to like ask for help from your parents, from your peers, from your coaches and stuff, and you know, allow them to help you set yourself up for success in the future.
Yeah, that's perfect. I appreciate that. All right, one last question, and we'll wrap up. How does it feel to be Bridge alum now?
I'm excited for that game to play with
Officially a whole new category of Bridge.
Yeah.
I feel old.
Don't call me old.
Yeah, it's weird to see you guys make that transition.
I feel like now that you like getting called an alum makes me feel like I'm on this like new like secret side of Bridge. Feel like I'm there yet. Like I still like feel like I'm still like a player. I'm still like on the team. I don't think I'm on the secret adult side yet.
I mean, I'm ready to play against other Bridge players, but I'm definitely gonna miss them.
Alumni game.
And I mean, I still keep in contact with them, so I don't think it'll be that big a difference. The only difference will be on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the right mentality to have, is that it shouldn't be a big jump. It should feel very gradual and very natural. I will say this though, and this is one thing. I don't know if you all saw my email Monday or whenever I sent that out, but you know, we're trying to start. We want to do more with an alumni now, and for a handful of reasons, but. You know, you guys will be, hopefully you all will want to be engaged in that in that side. I know Dom's already reached out about that. So yeah, we have some fun stuff planned. And I think we haven't always done a great job of engaging the alumni, keeping them up to date outside of, you know, the alumni games. So we have some new stuff in store for you all soon. Thanks you guys for doing this. For Chris, Kristen, Dom, thanks for doing it again, because I couldn't figure out what I did with the original Zoom file, but KG, I'm glad you were able to make it for this one.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again, guys. Let's wrap up, and yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Or
wait.
Not. Wait.
Fun if we did a little family on 3 to end it.
That's you. You want to call it then?
Yeah, I'll call it.
All right, Kristen's gonna call it.
Hands in, guys.
Hands in.
Thank you. Family on me, family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Family.
Aw, I feel like I only heard my voice, but I feel like I'm kind of loud.